Okay, so tonight we're going to go over some of the sewing supply basics, and we're going to keep it pretty simple and pretty light tonight. So our agenda will be kind of going over some of the supplies that y'all are already familiar with. We'll do a little bit of equipment ID on some common equipment that we'll see, particularly if you're participating with like the Duds to Dazzle contest or if you're sewing in general. We'll see if y'all have any questions, and then y'all will get to open your scavenger hunt activity from your packet. Okay, so point blank, what supplies do y'all already know for sewing? So what do y'all commonly use?
I know there is a needle, thread, and thimble.
Okay, very good. What else would we use for sewing?
Fabric. Pins.
We've definitely used fabric. And then what was the other one?
Pins.
Okay, pens. What else might we use?
Some people use sewing machines.
Yep. Is there only one type of sewing machine?
There's more than one, like different brands and different types, different qualities, different colors. Like you can buy ones that are different colors. Like you might buy a white one or a brown one or a blue one.
All right.
Colors.
Very good. Thank you, Sarah. All right. What else would we commonly use if we were getting ready to sew something?
You probably need a nice, neat workspace.
Okay. We probably need a nice, neat workspace. That's a very essential part.
You might need scissors.
Okay. Scissors.
A pattern.
Okay. We can work off of a pattern.
You might need a measuring tape too.
Ooh, y'all are doing great so far. All right, are y'all ready to hop into some of our equipment? Or do y'all want to keep guessing for a little bit?
I'm ready when you are.
All right. All right, so we're going to start off with a pretty easy one. So what is this, and what do y'all think we use it for?
It's a measuring tape, and you can use it to measure the lengths of fabrics.
All right, so it is a measuring tape, and we can use it to measure some lengths of fabrics. A lot of times we will actually take body measurements with it as well, since it's a flexible tape. And with most of our equipment, you'll see that there's multiple varieties of each one, so you can kind of show your own personal style with it, and you might have a preference of one style over another, okay? But most commonly, this tape is going to be marked in inches on one side and centimeters and millimeters on the other. And then we would use it to take body measurements. We might measure a shorter length of fabric with it and things like that, particularly if we're getting ready to make clothing for ourselves or another person. Okay. All right. So what would this be?
Pin cushion.
It's a pin cushion. Why would we need a pin cushion?
To keep all of our needles and pins and those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So pin cushions are really handy. They are wonderful for keeping your pins and everything. So these are straight pins that we would normally use whenever we're sewing a project together. You can use them to safely store and kind of keep your pins and needles and everything. I know every time I break out my sewing projects, I always wind up accidentally losing one or two pins somewhere if I don't put them immediately in a pin cushion, okay? Again, this is something that can kind of come in a variety of styles. I have a couple of varieties that are up here. So I've got the little hedgehog one, and then I've got the little pillow one. I like them both kind of depending on what mood I'm in and then how securely I want to keep those needles and pins. What would we use pins for whenever we're making a sewing project?
We can use them to keep the pieces together and to put patterns on. You can pin a pattern onto the cloth so that you do not accidentally cut in the wrong place.
Very good. Okay, so basically we're going to use pins, these straight pins, to secure things together. So it could be fabric to other fabric, it could be pinning the pattern to the fabric, it could be marking out a pattern even. Okay. All right, so what would these be? Abigail or Kaylee, do y'all have an idea?
A thimble.
Exactly. So what would we use a thimble for?
So you don't hurt your hand when you're trying to push a needle through.
Exactly. So typically we're going to use these whenever we're hand sewing. Just like the middle picture, usually they're going to cover a portion of the tip of your finger. They come in a few different styles. So I've got a couple like the one on the left. I've got some silicone ones like in the middle where they're kind of a rubbery flexible fabric or fabric material. And then I have a couple of metal ones. The metal ones are a little bit harder for me to use just because they don't like to stay on my fingertips. And I think Mrs. Missouri and I have talked about we tend to use our nails a little bit too to push the needle through fabric and everything. But basically they're going to help protect the sensitive skin on your fingertips whenever you're pushing a needle through either some thick fabric or fabric where it's not easily passing through. Okay. And again, they can come in lots of different varieties. I've seen some that are kind of like little leather fingertip slips. There's silicone and rubber ones. There's some plastic ones that you can get, and there's metal. So again, that's a personal preference type of thing. So what do y'all think these are?
I call it a cheater.
Some way to thread a needle.
Okay, so that's exactly what it is. It's a needle threader. So what do y'all think we would use a needle threader for?
Threading a needle.
Yeah, we're going to thread a needle. Okay. So they come in a few different styles and everything. The easiest way of explaining it is basically that you can slip the little flexible metal part through the eye of the needle on the two examples on the left. So the middle and the left here. You would put a piece of thread through it and then pull it back through the eye of the needle, and then it would automatically thread it for you. There's some fancier versions. So I actually haven't used some of the examples on the right-hand side, but they're a very similar thing where whenever you stick the needle through the little cartridge, it automatically puts the thread through the eye of the needle for you. Okay. All right. So what are these and what would they be used for?
So bobbin, and when you sew on a sewing machine, it's the one that does the bottom stitch.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, that's exactly right. Okay, so typically, whenever you're purchasing bobbins, you can either get just the bobbin itself, so you can get metal and plastic versions, and you may kind of want to check on what type of sewing machine you're using. I know sometimes the plastic ones are a little bit harder on my older sewing machines and don't quite fit them well. But you can get them either unthreaded, like over here on the left, or you can get them pre-threaded. So some sets will come with either some pre-threaded varieties in white, black, or some colored ones. And then, so just for reference, so whenever you're loading the bobbin into the bottom of a sewing machine, typically you're going to put it in one of these little cases. So this little funky thing with the tail is the bobbin case that would go into the bottom of the sewing machine that actually helps the mechanical function of creating the bottom stitch. Okay. All right, so what might this be and what would we use it for?
You use them to, when you have fabric and you have a board under them, you can cut the fabric really fastly and easily, but it is really sharp.
All right, thank you, Abigail. Does anybody know what it's called?
It's a rotary cutter.
It's a rotary cutter, okay? So, and just like Abigail said, typically we're going to use a rotary cutter to cut large amounts of fabric. I know I tend to use it a lot whenever we're quilting specifically. Also, we use it for making our own binding, if we're doing large lengths of fabric and things like that. Excuse me. But usually we're going to use it in combination with a mat, just like Abigail said. So usually that's when we'll get these large quilting mats. So you can get them small, large. Typically they're these green or kind of light blue colors most commonly. Usually I'll also use a quilting ruler to help kind of flatten out the fabric and make sure that I'm cutting straight along those lines as well, okay? But they are going to be used on those mats because they are very sharp and we don't want them cutting through and damaging any surfaces underneath it. And then you can actually cut through multiple layers very quickly and very smoothly without leaving a rough edge whenever you're cutting those fabrics. Okay, so they tend to be very, very useful. All right, so what are these and what might we use them for?
To mark measurements or chalk pencils or markers.
Yes, so in this case, it's fabric markers, okay? So there's lots of different things that we can use to mark our fabrics. You can get washable fabric markers. You can get quilting pens or pencils. There's a few different things that you can get just kind of depending on your preference. Fabric markers are a great tool. You can get either washable fabric markers for making quick notes for measurements on patterns or notes that you need to make directly on your fabric for whenever you're getting ready to sew something together that will wash out later on. Or you can also get the permanent fabric markers where you're actually basically dyeing the fabric as you go by marking on them, and you can create your own permanent designs on there, okay? All right, so what is this piece of equipment and what is it used for?
The seam ripper, and you use it to take out the seam if you made a mistake or if you're just altering a piece of fabric.
Absolutely. Okay. So seam rippers, my life depends on seam rippers. I'll just say it. But seam rippers are a handy little tool. So basically, if you accidentally sewed past your mark or you had some issues and need to rip out the seam or alter another clothing item or something like that, then basically you would use the seam ripper, just like she's got it over here. So you would hold your seam in one hand and then you would use the seam ripper to cut through the little stitches that were made, either hand sewn or by machine. Okay, and then that would allow you to pull the fabric apart, pull out the remaining thread, and then you can actually make your adjustments as needed from that point. Okay. All right. So what would this be and where would we use it, or what would we use it for?
Those are hook and eye clasps, and they are used to put clothes together. You know, you sew them on, and then you can hook them together.
Absolutely. So these little hook and eye closures are wonderful clasps, okay? And basically they help us create a closure that we can open or undo and redo at our convenience, okay? Most typically we're gonna see these, trying to think where I typically use them. So I've seen them where, since we were talking about historical costuming a little bit ago, before they had buttons or before they had zippers and things like that, they could use these hook and eye closures almost as a zipper. So they would sew a big row of them up the back of a dress or up the side so that they were securely closed and they didn't really move around too much, okay? Sometimes we'll see them at the top of zippers so that it kind of keeps the top of the piece of clothing closed and everything, so the zipper doesn't have the opportunity to slide up and down as much. Okay, but they are handy little things. Typically, you will, on one side of the opening, you would sew down this little area, and then you would sew down this little area, and then you would close them at that point once they're secured. Okay. All right. So what do y'all think this is, and what might it be used for?
I don't know what it's called, but the little blue thing slides back and forth, and you can use it to measure how much fabric that is.
All right. Okay, you nailed it on the head. Okay, does anybody know what it's called?
It's a fabric ruler or sewing.
Close. You're very close, Sarah. Kaylee, do you have an idea?
Isn't it like the seam allowance, like measure?
Close, okay. So the official name for it is a sewing gauge, okay. So most typically, just like Abigail said, we're gonna use on these little ruler models, okay, they're gonna be typically a 6-inch ruler, and this little guide moves up and down so that you can mark it, okay, and kind of use that as a guide and measurement, okay. So with this, you can use it to measure a few different things. So you can either measure short distances and use it as an actual ruler with the straight edge on this particular one, okay? So if you needed to make marks on your fabric, you could with your marker or your pencil or whatever, okay? The other example would be just like this one is doing, where typically what I use it for is measuring either a seam allowance or a hem edge, okay? So right here, it shows us that we've turned this up just over an inch, or about, I think that's 3 centimeters, the way that's measured, okay? So we would be able to use that to slide along this entire edge and maybe iron it up. That way we could sew it down or turn it over again, depending on what we're doing with this piece of fabric, okay? There's a couple of other different models. So they also have these little funky square edged ones, okay? That way you can kind of just slide it along instead of worrying about the little slider in the ruler style, okay? All right, so that's all the equipment that we had already planned for this evening. Do y'all have questions about any of that equipment? Is there any kind of equipment that you're curious about learning more about?
No, I don't.
All right, Kaylee or Sarah?
No.
All right. Well, y'all are an easy crowd. Okay. So what I want y'all to do y'all have your little envelope that's the scavenger hunt envelope for tonight?
Yes.
Okay. So y'all can go ahead and open those envelopes. Inside of those envelopes, you should see this. Okay. So we're going to do a quick little scavenger hunt. What I want y'all to do is unscramble the words on your piece of paper and then see if you can find those items in your house real quick. Okay. So I'll give y'all about 5 minutes once y'all are ready to go ahead and unscramble the words and see if you can figure out what most of them are. And then we'll turn you loose to go find a few items, and then whoever can find the most items will go ahead and enter you in a drawing for a prize. Okay? So does everybody have their envelopes opened?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do.
Y'all's 5 minutes starts right now. All right, y'all have 1 more minute. All right, our time is up. Okay. So what were some of y'all's clues? What was the first one in the top left-hand corner?
Yeah. What is it?
The first one's a pin cushion.
Okay. All right, and then what's our top middle one?
A seam ripper.
Okay, and that was, what was our top right one?
A tape measure.
All right, good deal. Okay, and then what was our middle left-hand one?
An iron.
Okay, what was our very middle one?
Scissors.
Okay, and then what was our middle right one?
Pattern.
Very good. Okay, was our bottom left one?
Thread.
Our bottom middle?
Button.
Okay, and then our bottom right.
Pencil.
Okay. So to make this an actual scavenger hunt, what I would like to do is kind of go through each of those and then see if y'all can find something similar to them in your house. Okay. What type of time limit would y'all like to set? Would y'all like to try and do it in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
I like 5 minutes to find each one. 3 would probably be the best, but I like to have plenty of time. So most of my sewing stuff is buried under piles of fabric.
I think most of our stuff is, okay? All right, let's do, how about 2.5 minutes?
Okay.
Okay? All right. So what I would like y'all to do is I'm going to call out one item at a time. Okay. And we're going to have y'all take 2.5 minutes to find the item that I call out. Okay. We'll have you turn on your video screen so we can see it with you. And for every item that you find, I'm going to enter your name in a wheel of names for a chance to win a prize. Okay. So let me get my little timer set up. All right, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so we'll start off real easy. Your first item is a pin cushion, and go.
I thought the 5 minutes you were supposed to get the things and answer the things, so I accidentally got like 1 or 2 things already.
Well, I guess it'll be really easy for you then. All right, I see Sarah has one, and then Abigail, will you show me yours? Okay, and Kaylee has one.
Chicken.
Oh, that's cute. I like the little animal ones. Okay, let me get y'all added to my little wheel real quick. All right. All right, your next item will be an iron, and your time starts now. That was fast, Abigail.
Yeah, a room next to me has iron in it, so pretty fast.
You don't know where that one's at?
It's gone.
Did you already show me your iron, Sarah?
It's gone. I can't find where it is.
Oh no.
That's okay. That one's above the bathroom. In my bathroom.
I thought it was in that closet. Or that closet. Or all those other closets in your room.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll see what's next. I'll have to show you stuff.
I don't have an iron in my house, and the iron that we use is at my grandma's house, which is across the street. So
Okay. Not a problem. We'll move on to the next one. Okay. Let's do scissors. Starting now. All right. We add everyone's names. Okay. Let's do a pattern. Starting now. And it can be a pattern that you made or bought.
May you repeat that one more time? I didn't hear you.
A pattern. Ooh, cool. Thank you, Sarah.
Does a shirt pattern count as a pattern? Because I have a pattern on my shirt.
That's cute, Abigail. We're going to go for sewing pattern this time, though. And then Miss Kaylee, were you able to find something?
I can't find it. I have some in a backpack, but I can't find the backpack at the moment.
Oh no. All right. All right, let's do a thread. Starting now. All right, thanks, Abigail. Got Kaylee's and got Sarah's. All right. Let's do a pencil, starting now. All right.
So I still use it to mark my fabrics.
That's okay. I usually use a regular one too. Thank you, Sarah. All right, got Kaylee's and Abigail's. Y'all are fast. All right. Let's see. Let's do another easy one. Let's do button, a button, starting now. All right, got Abigail's. All right, got Kaylee's and got Sarah's. Good job. Right, we're down to our last two. So let's do a tape measure, starting now. Ooh, that was fast, Kaylee. Okay, got Abigail's.
Thankfully, I keep this in my crochet bucket.
All right, got Sarah's. All right, last one. Let's see who can find a seam ripper, starting now.
When we sew, we use this thing as a seam ripper, but I don't know if it counts, but.
What is it again? We might have to take that one to a vote. All right, y'all have about 1 minute left.
Sorry, there was one sitting over there somewhere. I didn't even look at it. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it has these fluffy things on the back, but
Probably because y'all were using it.
I couldn't find one.
Okay. Thanks, Kaylee, for letting me know.
what are these things for? Yeah, but the other side. These.
All right, Sarah's got 10 more seconds.
No, she already did those.
All right, our time is up. Miss Susan, do you want to let Sarah know her time's up? Oh, she has to go find her. All right. Okay. So every time y'all found something, I added your name to this wheel of names. And so we're going to spin it to see who in the world is going to win a prize. All right. So Miss Sarah, you get a fun surprise. So I will, whenever I get back from Houston, we'll get you a little fun prize that y'all can either pick up at the extension office or we can send it to you. Okay. So what I want y'all to do now is, for an additional chance to win a prize, I want y'all to add in what your favorite sewing project that you've been working on this past year has been in the chat box.
Definitely my question.
What did you help with mine? My favorite one is
Y'all can say it out loud. You don't have to put it in the chat box. That's fine.
last month we made a Barbie pillow with my grandma. We sewed a little Barbie pillow.
Cool. And Kaylee, what's been your favorite project?
I have this like big squishmallow. It's a unicorn, and I made a shirt and pants and swim trunks for it for some reason, but that was really fun.
That's cute. All right. So the big surprise is, since there's only 3 of y'all, we're going to get all 3 of you guys a surprise to pick up either at the extension office or we can mail it to y'all. Okay. It will be related to a fun sewing project. So I'm going to look for something kind of creative for y'all so that y'all have something to work on too. Okay. Do y'all have any questions for tonight, or is there any other sewing equipment that y'all want to talk about?
I don't have any questions, but thank you for doing all this, Miss Molly.
Absolutely. I'm having fun with it. I hope y'all are having fun too.
I am.
Good deal. All right, Abigail or Kaylee, do y'all have anything else y'all want to talk about or explore more?
No, I don't, but thank you.
Me neither.
All right, Kaylee, how about you?
No, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, with that, I will say good night. I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and we'll see y'all in a couple more weeks.
Thank you. Bye.
Night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.